Based in North America, the National Hockey League, or NHL, is home to the best hockey players in the world. Over the past 30 years, it has been attracting talent not just from Canada and the United States, but from overseas as well. The league is nearly a century old, beginning in 1917 in Montreal after the old National Hockey Association, which was racked with internal conflict, suspended play. The NHL was made up of 5 teams, 2 of them from Montreal, the Canadiens and the Wanderers. There were also the Toronto Blue Shirts, the Ottawa Senators, and the Quebec Bulldogs. The NHL folded in 1917 after the Quebec Bulldogs pulled out of the league. Meanwhile, the Toronto franchise had been reportedly sold to a local concern. Uncertain that this was the case, and with the threat that the league may, in fact, go down to just 3 teams, the parties decided to create a new league, which became known as the National Hockey League, with all of the original teams participating with the exception of Quebec. Though it started with 4 teams, the Montreal Wanderers pulled out halfway through the first season. The remaining 3 teams battled it out for the Stanley Cup, which has been awarded to the hockey champions since 1893. That year, the trophy went to the Toronto team, which is now called the St. Patrick's, later to be renamed the Maple Leafs. The first decade of the NHL saw expansion to cities such as Hamilton, Pittsburgh, and New York. However, the league did struggle to stay afloat. Expansion into several markets would take place over the next several decades. Yet it was not until the middle of the 1940s when what would become the nucleus of the league began to take shape, with the formation of the original 6, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Montreal Canadiens, the New York Rangers, Boston Bruins, the Detroit Red Wings, originally the Cougars, and the Chicago Blackhawks, originally the Shamrocks. This was a golden age for hockey. The NHL gained new popularity and acceptance as an established professional league, helped by the arrival of many superstars such as Maurice "The Rocky" Richard and Howie Morenz. With so few teams in the league, the talent on the ice at any given time was never as good as it was during the period of the original 6. Dynasties such as the Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs, which traded cups year after year, were born. There were also intense rivalries that formed and which persist to this day. Even in the current era, games between original 6 teams hold more weight, especially those between Toronto versus Montreal, which often produces the best hockey no matter where either team is in the standings. One of the great innovations of this period occurred by chance after Canadiens goaltender Jacques Plante took a puck off the face during a game in 1959. In need of stitches, Plante was immediately escorted to the dressing room. He returned to the game wearing a mask, which he would don for the rest of his career. Though Plante is associated with the mask, its use, in fact, dates back to the early 1920s when Clint Benedict wore a leather mask for a time after breaking his nose. Since Plante, however, the mask had become part of standard goaltending equipment. As was the case with other pro sports leagues, the NHL faced major changes during the 1960s. The television age brought a desire for expansion, as did the possibility rival leagues such as the Western Hockey League would emerge. In 1967, the number of NHL franchises was doubled as the Philadelphia Flyers, St. Louis Blues, Minnesota North Stars, Los Angeles Kings, Oakland Seals, and Pittsburgh Penguins were added to the league. 3 years later, the Vancouver Canucks and Buffalo Sabres joined too. This, however, did not prevent a rival league from developing. The NHL responded to the arrival of the World Hockey Association, or WHA, in 1972 by expanding yet again, adding the New York Islanders and Atlanta Flames, which soon became the Calgary Flames, which was followed by the addition of the Kansas City Scouts and Washington Capitals 2 years later.